Hey, what's up, everybody? Have you gotten your groons yet? Listen, man, this is a new flavor. I don't know if you guys can see it now, but I've already told you this is your superfoods for greens. I take mine every day. Not only is it gluten-free, it's vegan. This one has no sugar. It's for gut health. The energy soars through the roof. Immunity, recovery, beauty, cognition. It's got everything right here in this packet. This is your Groons Superfood Greens Gummy. Check it out. You can probably see the picture up there on the side. This is what's called the snack pack. Make sure you use the code down below to get your big discount. These are going fast. This flavor will not be here for long, but this is what it looks like. These little gummies come. Look at that. Isn't that cute? Little gummy. You eat all the gummies in here. They're so good. They're so good for you. Make sure you get it. 60 plus ingredients. And like I said, use the discount below. This mango sorbet is crazy. And it's sugar free. Oh, it's good for you. Get yours now. Greens gummy. Hey, what's up, everybody? Please stick around. My guest today is phenomenal. This is a different episode format than we usually do. We're jumping right into the conversation. So as we start the episode, we're already talking. My guest's name is Vincent Ballentine. He's an incredible multimedia artist. He's based here in New York right now, but he's been all over the world. Stick around, check out his story, check out the conversation, and wait till the end because we got some special art to show you as well. My name is Marcos Luis. This is OneMicNite, Season 7. You're already in. 3, 2, 1, leg up. I think a lot of times, you have people who expect a certain, it's almost like an entitlement, and they don't want to teach the kids that perspective.
Mm-hmm.
They think it's okay. Like I said, it's gentle parenting. They want to let their creativity flow. So they don't want to teach them that perspective.
Yeah. I mean, that's okay and everything, but the problem is like we live in a society with other people, and what you could be raising is an actual maniac.
Absolutely.
Who doesn't, feel like they have to live in a world with other people. Everyone else should, the world literally revolves around them.
But do you think that some people don't even think about that? They don't care. They don't care. It's not even in their mindset to think about other people, to have sympathy or empathy or those type of feelings. It's just like, I'm doing what I'm doing because I can.
Very true.
So they don't even need to
Very true.
explain.
Let me add this to the mix though. Is like, okay, so I'm not gonna date myself, but I grew up in a generation of winners and losers, right?
Mm-hmm.
I grew up in a space where it was like, all right, if you won, it probably meant that you practiced, you did the thing, you prepared yourself, whatever, right? That's how you get to win. If you lost, you got to better prepare, you have to better, etc. The groups that have continued since where I was, come up, I call them the participation trophy era, right? Where you get awarded for just showing up.
Yeah.
And even if you lose, you get a trophy. And it's like, I don't know if that's really, teaching something like in a real way, Um, because life, since the inception of life, if you don't do this, you don't eat. If you don't do this, you will be cold. If you don't do like there's certain things that just go in line with things. And because now we all have a bit of entitlement, um, I can go to the store right now and go get some strawberries. Like, that's, you know what I'm saying? That's some
Yeah, yeah.
privilege, that's very privileged living. Um,
But do you
but
think people think about that? That's what I'm saying. People don't think about it. They just do it. It just becomes automatic. It's in a place where it's automatic now. We don't think
yeah,
about the entitlement. I mean, we
no,
can go into what's happening in current politics right now. Look at
yeah,
us and look at what's happening in Cuba.
yeah,
You know, the people, they have nothing. There's a
yeah,
blockade preventing the fuel to go to this island where these
yeah,
people are impoverished. I talk to people every day there.
yeah,
You know what I mean? They have nothing. They have
yeah,
blackouts every day. They have no power. They have no fuel. The garbage is piling up on the island, which then
yeah,
breeds, disease, and it has a latent period. So 2 weeks from now, we're going to have people dying on that
yeah,
island.
yeah.
You know,
It's
I don't even
it's
know if people think about the entitlement that we have or the privilege that we have just to go to the store and buy, or let me, order something, especially people living in New York. We take that
exactly
for granted. I can order
exactly.
anything
Well,
at any time of the day and it's going to be here.
exactly. And that's see the scary part about this age of abundance that we live in is the fact that it's not an infinite resource. None of these resources are infinite. So for me to have, somebody must have not. That's the dilemma, is the
Right,
fact that we become so it becomes so ingrained in us that, well, yeah, I should be able to just fill in the blank. You know what I mean?
right.
You don't understand that to have this conversation on this platform that we're using right now, people are digging up minerals with their bare hands for
Absolutely.
us to do this.
Absolutely.
So when you put things in a very real perspective, I mean, it sucks because like for us, people like me and you, it just kind of turns into a level of gratefulness. I'm grateful that these
Yes,
things exist, and I'm happy that we can take advantage of this resource that's available. But I also know that it comes with, some strings attached.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And so how do you turn that into the works of arts that you do? Because because we know that art, solves some social problems or presents us with social problems. That's a conception of art. So something we can discuss.
Yeah, nah, absolutely. What's funny is like I do a lot of different types of work. So there's like the work that I want to do for myself, and then there's the work that I do within community works. So like I do a lot of work with like nonprofit organizations and community building places and all of this good stuff. So like um in a way, I become kind of like a middleman for the conversation between the artist and the viewer. Um, Me being the technician in this situation, I'm just the engineer in a way.
Hmm.
The sourcing is coming from actual people, like we did I'm trying to think what can I even talk about right now.
Well, just in general, how do you incorporate, your personal art into what the community wants or what someone wants, like in this
Yeah,
situation?
yeah. I mean, okay, I have an example.
Yeah.
I was thinking about this one that I did in Brownsville over last summer. And it was in their community center in Brownsville. And I was working with a group of like, I don't know, 20 youth, right? Youth just basically being under 23 or 24, something like that.
Hmm.
And it was interesting because like we wanted to, it's a conversation in a real way where it's like, well, how would you see yourself? How do we make symbols to represent your thoughts and feelings, right? How do we symbolize these things? And we started to just develop themes and concepts in terms of like, um, what do y'all want to paint? And like ultimately, like they decided they wanted to paint their block, right? It was like, okay, so because I kept asking like the questions of like, okay, so what makes this area? What makes this different than, 10 blocks that way? Um,
Yeah.
what is specific, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so like it starts to develop within developing the identity of a piece, you start to see the like formation of the individual in real time. So like I'm seeing these people turn into other people. This group that I'm working with, it happens, it's very minuscule. It's not this grand thing. It's not like, oh man, you walked in 5'2", like
And now you're 7 feet over.
you know,
Ah.
but it's like, you know, these people are walking in and they didn't know something. Now they know something. Visually, now they are able to speak on it in a visual way, not just like people, they can communicate what they did. They can say like, oh, okay, cool. No, but then they understand a different language now. You
Mm.
you understand like, oh, okay, well, I can I can put these pieces together and they mean something different now. You take a bird, you take a tree, and I don't know, a cat, right? And now you've created a scenario. You know what I mean?
Right,
Like
right.
these three things, it's like, okay, how do you feel right now? And you can put that in perspective to say, like, this is how I feel. It's like not only is it peril or whatever it could be interpreted as, it allows you to release that from yourself.
Mm.
It's
How do you feel as, first of all, when you see that happening and as the gatekeeper of that type of things? And I don't say gatekeeper in a bad way. I mean actually in a good way
hmm
because you're opening the gates for this.
hmm
How do you feel as a teacher and a conduit for something like that?
I mean, on some real, can I cuss?
Yeah,
Or
of
is
course. Yeah,
this is not a
yeah.
cuss
No,
situation?
I'll put a, a disclaimer on there. That's all right.
Cool.
Say whatever you gotta say.
On some real shit,
Yeah.
like there is a lot of like actual bonding that happens. You know what
Yes.
I mean? There is
Yes.
an actual like between instructor and student, if I can put it like that. There is a
Yes.
special kind of relationship that happens there. Um, what I've noticed though, what I've noticed is that it's always who's above me that things start getting messy and sticky, right?
Hmm.
Because like my job at this point, like I understand I'm in the middle, but my job at this point is to give the most I can to this group for this experience, right? And what sometimes happens is like I'm limited on the other end, right? Like the design needs to get approved,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So like sometimes it's like they'll take the design and manipulate it in ways that they in their mind make sense, but then ultimately detract away from the art. So like case in point, I did this one for the Louis Armstrong houses in Bed-Stuy.
Hmm.
And it's huge. It's 30 feet by 30 feet on the side of one of the buildings. If you're going down, I think it's Lexington. You just passed Tompkins. So but in the design, the original design, it was like, well, I'm gonna do a giant Louis, and everybody was okay with that. And then on the bottom, I was gonna have because I also had assistants that were working with me, and they were like, well, let's incorporate assistants. So I'm like, cool. Let's do something that's a little bit, a little less intense. I'm still gonna touch everything to like
Hmm.
make it that final effect, but and the concept. And I actually just thought about this other day. The concept was like have all like him giant, huge, smaller people, but each one of them would have an instrument. And each one of those instruments would be something that can be found in, normal life. On some like, I don't know if you remember Fat Albert Junkyard Band type
Yeah.
stuff,
Uh-huh.
but like, somebody could have
Oh
beat on a
yeah.
pot, somebody could be, you know what I mean? Like
Right.
whatever they decided their instrument was gonna be, like that was gonna be incorporated into the mural. So in a way, like I was also thinking like a bit of second line, you know what I mean? Like how
Right.
in New Orleans, how they have those bands that just kind of like pop up and walk down the street.
Oh my God, man.
I was like,
Li-
yo, this is and so in my mind, I'm like, oh, this is it. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
the way I'm telling it is the way I'm hoping that you visualize it. It got changed to give it to the instruments for the people. Huh? Okay. And then just have them like dancing. Huh? So it's like a block party now? And it was like, yeah, 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 more like a block party. And I'm like,
Mm,
one of the things that I don't enjoy painting is things that people can just go look at. I do not like painting the Statue of Liberty. Go look at it. I don't like painting the Empire State Building. Go look at it. It's right over there. You know what I
hmm
mean? Like
hmm
let's think more. You know what I mean? Let's push. Let's develop. Let's do things that haven't been done before, right?
Why is that?
I think that's the intriguing part of being an artist. I don't want to do what you did. You know what I mean? You
Yeah.
already did it, right? There was another artist, I don't remember his name, but he said like once photography started, realism died because it was like, well, the picture's already there. Just blow the picture up, it's done. You know what I mean? Why do I
Yeah.
need to paint that now? You know what I mean? Just so I can show I have this skill and technique to say I can. I use photos for reference, yes, sure, true indeed, but what am I adding to it though? How are you adding to this on some b-boy stuff,
Yeah.
right? Because I came from that, right? I come from that golden era of hip hop. You didn't bite nobody's style. You had your
You
own
had
thing.
your own.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It
Yeah.
was just like I don't want nobody sounding like me on no album.
That's it. Yeah. That's it. That's what makes you an artist. It's your interpretation of something. You
Exactly.
can see something, but how do I interpret it? With all the knowledge that I have, how do I do it? This is my
Exactly.
version.
Exactly.
We
And
can all
that's
sing the national anthem, but what is my interpretation of the national anthem?
Yeah, yeah. And so here's the thing though, is like now you start wondering like which is worse, AI or art bots, right? And when I mean art bots, I mean real life people who are just like jacking somebody else's thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like we have a lot of Basquiat clones out here. We have a lot of like people that are just like doing something that somebody else did and like making a career out of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's what we're doing now.
But do you think it makes it sort of pay? I mean, you can look at it two different ways. I understand that too. I feel the same way, but maybe these people are thinking in a different way where it's actually paying homage to the
Yeah,
original,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know? But I'm just putting it out there. I'm playing devil's advocate. I don't necessarily agree with it, but maybe that's what people are thinking when they do it.
yeah, yeah.
Because we respect the original, we like the original, so we want to do something. But when you have, I don't know, man, it's so
Eh,
complicated. It's so
yeah.
complicated.
I mean, it's all expression. So
Yeah,
can I tell somebody how to express themselves? No,
right.
right? Would you maybe have landed in a similar world had you not seen a Basquiat? Maybe, who knows? Um, I think I'm in a place now where I I'm not a big fan of conceptual work. You know what I mean? The work
Hmm.
that has to be like explained and diluted and for make it good. First and foremost, is it something that people want to look at?
Right.
And then if you give them story and context, it adds to it, right? But if it's all context, you know what I mean? It's like
Yeah, that's a little difficult.
it is for me
Yeah,
again.
I,
I can't tell anybody how to express themselves or a viewer how to view something.
right.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of, I'm a little bit of both. I like to be, as a layperson, I like to see art and sort of envision what I think it is, but I
Mm-hmm.
also like to know what the artist thought about when they were doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of like in the middle on that one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah. No, I get it. I mean, it's liner notes at that point, you know. It's opening that CD and looking at the inside and saying like, oh, okay, here's the production. Here's maybe some backstory on this. It's kind of like I've been getting into DVDs lately,
mhm.
and I kind of like was enjoying the excerpts, the extra added stuff or whatever. So like there was this interview, and the dude was like talking about the experience of being the actor, but it was also still set in that time. Because right now I'm stuck in the where am I stuck in? The 70s. So I just watched the what was that last one? The Mac or was it Superfly? So I think it was Superfly. And Ron O'Neal was at the end of it, and he was like, "Yeah, you know, so it's good for me to be seen as a black man in this walking
Mhm.
down the streets, and now they can." And I mean, so it's like things are time capsules in a way, you
Right.
know, like it's it's
It,
it's ill. Go ahead. I'm about
no, no, you're absolutely right. Keep going because
to.
it goes back to what you just talked about with the mural with the Louis Armstrong. And when you
Yeah,
explained it to me, with the Fat Albert, that's evolution too, because instantly I knew what you're talking about because I came
yeah,
up in a time period where I knew what you were talking about,
yeah, yeah,
and
exactly.
you in your process, you were actually teaching these kids a little bit of history and evolution and what it means. Um, yeah, man, that's interesting.
Yeah. You
The
know what's
evolution of
funny?
it all.
So here, how about this? Because I'm thinking about like the parallels. I also did a lot of writing, right? Like I used to rap crazy. And there's something about writing a bar that makes somebody go, ooh, right?
Yeah.
And the bar that makes people go, ooh, is because it has like it's creative, it's like imaginative, and it's relatable, right? Um, Kanye had a line, mayonnaise colored Benz. I push Miracle Whips. I was like, bravo,
Damn. Yeah.
bravo,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
bravo, bravo, sir. Uh,
Yeah.
and that's the thing is like we know what Miracle Whip is. We know what a mayonnaise colored Benz would even look like. You know what I mean? So it's
Right.
like being able to connect those things together. So it's like we're doing that same thing, but visually. You know what I mean? We're trying to connect things visually that at some point can kind of just make you go, ooh. But the thing about the visual is it becomes so much more mental than the written word. The written word, I think, is dependent on the first language and then like second, like understanding of those words. With a visual representation, again, why I say just make it good first, if somebody can look at it, is because that visual representation hits you in a different way. You know what I mean? How
Right.
you're receiving it is in a different situation. I don't want to listen to the rap that anybody can do. I want to listen to the rap that took a minute. You know what I mean? I want a Pharoah Monch. I want somebody that's really gonna be like, oh, you thought about this. And it has depth and you got to chew on it for a little while. That's the same thing with my art. I want the art to be something that you got to chew on a little bit, something that's kind of like, oh, wait a minute. Okay. And you start to, have your own experience with it. Again, it might not have all the most incredible depth in the world. It might not be this allegorical, you know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But it might be how I'm layering effects. You know what I mean? How I'm making a chrome portrait with patterns, but then I'll add in like ornamental framing. You know what I mean? Like, how do all these things sit in juxtaposition or in harmony with each other? And then within that understanding, the viewer isn't privy to that information.
Hmm.
So I do public walls. So the viewer is going to just pass by it and come to their own conclusion. At that point, it has to be good first, right?
Right. Yeah.
Otherwise, either, I mean, on some, again, real shit, either they're just never going to ever pay attention to it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Nobody's ever going to do that. Or, streets is streets. So they just going to come through and just bomb, just rag it. Like, man,
Exactly. Yep.
nah. Now try again. You know what I mean?
Right.
So like ultimately it's like, all right, got you. There's the fine art lines, there's the public art lines. It's all a game. You just figure out the rules, play ball.
Yep.
Yeah.
When did you figure out, if you can remember, that art was a language, that you could do some real stuff, some real shit through art, through
Mm.
visual art? Because
Um,
actually, let me say art in general, because I know you're a multimedia artist, and like you said, referenced before, you have some tracks that you put down too. So
yeah.
when did you
Um,
realize that was a language?
hmm. I think it was okay, so I went to college in Chicago. Um, Mind you, I had been drawing, I got into an art school, right? This is the Art Institute in Chicago.
Great school, by the
So,
way.
oh boy,
Yeah,
as a caveat, I am so mad I left, right?
yeah.
Like that's the end of the story early. But
I lived in Chi too for a while too.
oh
So
my God, I love
yeah,
Chicago.
love
I
Chicago. Yep.
love Chicago. Um, so with that said though, was like I was there and then like day one, I realized like there's like the language that can be spoken with pencil, ink, paper.
Hmm.
And then there's like understanding that there's levels within that where you can be a novice or a scholar.
Mm.
And sitting even in college, I'm paying for this. I'm looking around like my first year drawing level, and I was just like, oh, these guys are already like apprentices in scholarly places. I am a dude from not here who isn't trained like this. Like I've pushed myself to get to the point that I'm at right now. These guys have had help. I'm here to get help, but I
Hmm.
felt like the starting point was so crazy and like they were speaking in languages I couldn't understand. And so like I ran from
Meaning
it.
like the technical language and
Exactly.
yeah,
So
yeah.
like their understanding of perspective and shading and light sources and reflective imagery and all first day I was just like, oh no.
Yeah, yeah, for
There
sure.
is
Yeah.
there is a huge difference between me and them. And then I think the thing that like really opened it is that again, I've seen graffiti before, right? Up to this point, I'm like 18 now. So I've seen graffiti, I've done graffiti, right?
Hmm.
Like, but I did a little something that I brought in for a critique one day. And the guy looks at my piece and he was just like, is this the best you can do?
Oh,
And I was like, ouch. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And again, it was just like bringing it back to language and conversation. He was just like, I don't see what you're trying to say. It just looks like some haphazard shit that I could throw away, basically.
Mm.
And it's just like, oh, damn. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
but instead of just completely like ragging it and saying, like, you know what? It's trash, get out of my face next, right? It was like, he was delicate, you know what I mean? He was like,
Yeah.
I don't, let me tell you what you should do. Get on the train and ride it. Just ride the train north, get on and then ride it back, right? And that was such an eye-opening situation.
Hmm.
Because I'm looking at these walls, and mind you, again, I've seen graffiti, but Chicago graph scene was wildly different than where I came from.
Right.
So I'm just looking, I'm just like, oh my God, oh my God. I was like breaking my neck on the train, like, wow, 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 I am not there. This is incredible. That's dope. All right, okay, okay, let's take it back to the lab. My man Pugs was there while I was starting to, the wheels was turning. He was like, yo, you never seen Star Wars? I was like, Star Wars? Nah, I ain't never seen that yet. takes me over to the library. It was just like, bet. This is back when this library still had like booths and stuff that you could put videos in and just watch the videos. So like we put on our headphones, one little scene. We got maybe 15 minutes in. It was like, turn it off. We going to paint. We was daytime bombing. We
Wow, wow,
So then
wow.
like when you start talking about like the language, that what that became was like, oh, okay, I'm speaking to other people who see that tag. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
because now I'm like, oh, I see that Pugs, I see that PK, I see that, you know what I mean? Like, and now you realize it's like when they say tag, like I think people put it in a category of its own to say like, oh well, it's a tag, but in my mind, I'm thinking to my like tag, you're it. You know what I mean?
Right. Can you
Like
explain to the people who are watching what it is, what a tag is? And yeah, I mean, I think like a lot of the terminology too, street art versus graffiti and tags and things like that.
yeah, yeah. So like tagging is you can use a marker, you can use sandpaper, you can use any kind of ink um to just put your name up on something, right? And that's kind of like the foundation of this. That's where you learn your hand styles. That's when you learn your I mean, in a way, you also that's when you learn to get like the thrill of it. You know, that's where the because you ain't supposed to be doing this.
Right.
So like you get your initial like, oh, okay, all right. And then like graffiti versus street art in a way is like you could there is still some illegal street art. Let's get that out the
Right.
way.
Yeah, for
Right?
sure.
Like there's still some of that. Like a
For
lot of
sure.
graph heads be just like screw it top to bottom. You know what I mean? If it's
Yep.
street art, ah. And then at the same time, there's like me and my boys always say like you know your level of society, like you know your in a good society. How do I explain this? Crap. You know the level of society you're in by the bad graph, right? So if you have terrible graffiti, then you know you're in a good place because then there's something to level and that means there's good graffiti, right? Because if it was all bad, you wouldn't know the difference. If
Oh,
it was
right. Oh, okay.
good, you
Got you.
wouldn't know the
Yeah,
difference.
that
You
makes
know what I
sense.
mean? You got to
Yep.
have bad.
Yep.
So with that said, is like the evolution of things is usually it goes from tag to throw up, which is like now you're making bigger letters, bubble letters, whatever. Piecing, you'll have like it's starting to be really thought out, you know, it's three-dimensional now. And then you have like you start to bring in like characters and backgrounds and things like this. And then you have flat on productions or what I start to call murals is when like you have everything in there. You know what I mean? You kind of you threw everything at it. It's got a concept, it's got a theme, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Then like you have like, you know, traditional mural artists, you know what I mean? Like Diego Rivera, some of the, you know, cats in the 80s, the Keith Herrings, things like this, that were doing something just completely different. Um, but I feel like all of that groundwork to get us to where we are now is like we we still play by those same rules. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
the formation of my artwork still is developed in the same way as I might even develop a letter piece. You know what I mean? Like I'll put in my sketch first, and then I'll start to put in my darks and all of those things first. I'm doing the same thing with portrait work. Um, I like how going back to just language in particular, I like how like all these things inform the next thing. So like the values that I put in something or how I might be describing something in my head, I can visualize. But then at the same time, having that piece of brain that thinks a little bit more metaphorically enhances those visual thoughts. You know what I mean? It
Yeah,
enhances
yeah.
the visual communication. A friend of mine, he was a tattoo artist and he came out with a flash book and he was saying how like he was sick of doing butterflies. He was just like the next person to ask me for and it was also like the butterfly era. So this is like
I
10
was
years.
gonna say probably the number one most tattoo that people get, women get.
Exactly, exactly.
Yep.
The same way I was never doing wings again. I'm like, I'm never doing just you just want wings. I'm not doing that for you. No. Um,
Hilarious.
but he got so tired of it that he decided and he was a poet. So he made a stick of butter that was like kind of melting a little bit, and then he put fly wings on it. Like, so not the traditional, like beautiful, elegant butterfly wings. He put
Uh-huh.
insect wings on the stick
That's
of butter.
funny.
And he
That
was
is
like,
funny.
I'm butterfly. His butter is flying.
Butterfly. That's
Yeah.
funny. That
And
is
and he
funny.
and he made in like a lot of the stuff that he was doing in that book artistically was just like, okay, you're taking elements of things that, we might see, you know what I mean? Like you might take the theme or the concept of like top dollar or no cap or and then like take that and like visualize it in his own way and say like, okay, so he's putting those things together, and yeah, yeah, that's my
How'd you grow up and where did you grow up?
I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio, Shaker Heights to be exact. It was suburban, very suburbs. I was an only child, latchkey kid. Um, Started skateboarding early, and that became like my escape. You know what I mean? Was like, even though it was weird as hell to be like, because I'm also, again, not to date myself, but I grew up before the 2000s. And so being a black kid on a skateboard before 2000 was super weird.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, eventually I left Cleveland at 17, went to Chicago, and then Philly, and then Cali, and then New York. And I've been in New York for the past 15 years now. Yeah.
Did uh did you know when you were young that well, I guess kind of skateboarding goes along with artistry too. Like it's sort of like I used to skateboard too, but
Hmm.
I always remember, the street art. It was just kind of a mindset, the style of dress, that's all
Yeah.
kind of an artist, you know, culture, if you will,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
without
Yeah.
even knowing it at the
Yeah,
time.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, it was funny because like it's weird because like it was a community of outcasts. So it was like
Yeah.
it's like I kind of in my own new way knew I didn't really fit in with what was like considered normal, right?
Hmm.
Um so and it wasn't the fact that it was like I was anti what they were doing. It was just like that just didn't float my boat. It was like I need something different. And so when I found skateboarding and it was like it gave me that independence and freedom. And like I was saying, as a latchkey kid, I kind of like was home alone. Um, it gave me that independence to do this thing on my own. It was the first thing I could use to get away from everybody.
Right.
Like I don't have to be home right now. I can get on this skateboard and be out.
So were your friends, other cultures, other ethnicities and things like that?
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
my first one of my earlier friends, he was, I think, French.
Hmm.
And I remember my mom pitched it. Oh God, my mom was so mad because like, they over there, they see the human figure differently than we do in the States, especially in a flyover Midwestern Cleveland, Ohio, bro.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I saw she had these magazines that were just sitting out, but they were French magazines. So on the cover, like it was just women with their boobs out. And it was like, and I'm looking at it like, oh. And because I'm only like,
Yeah.
seven, something like this going over my friend's house. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I was like, she said, I forgot how the conversation went, but I swore she spun the block. I swore like she was like,
She
wait,
was
what?
like, what the H?
We're going
Uh-huh.
back. We're going back.
Hmm.
We need to have
Yep,
a
yep.
conversation. And I was just
That's
like,
funny.
but mom, you know what I mean? Like, so, and
And
then
they were probably like, oh, what's wrong? It's just art. It's art.
absolutely,
Yeah, yep, yep.
absolutely. That's how crazy it was if I
Yep.
remember this, being like 6 or 7. But yeah, there was definitely like the range. The one thing I will say is like what's the beautiful thing about growing up where I grew up at is like there was an intention to help race relations at an early age, and it worked. You know what I'm
Mm,
saying? Like I wish they could go back and do a regroup of the people that went through these programs, because being able to live in a community where there's rich people, there's poor people, there's white people, there's black people, there's Hispanic, there's I'm sorry, Latino, um, there's the gambit, right?
yeah,
And we all kind of like existed and grew up together as kids.
right,
So
right.
it wasn't that we were getting at each other as adults with differences, we were getting at each other as kids with differences.
Yes.
So, like,
Yep.
us understanding what a turban is as a kid is
Damn.
different than, you know what I'm saying?
Of course.
So when we're busting on this kid, it's just like, with your towel on your head, you know what I mean? Like we're
Yeah,
doing it as kids, so we're innocent and we don't understand until we learn better. And once
exactly.
we learn, it was just like, oh crap, that as an adult is I think is a priceless like superpower,
Oh,
because I can go anywhere and be around anyone and the intimidation isn't there. Like I've been in houses that were, multi-million dollar homes, and I was like, that's great. I can't wait to get back to our duplex bottom level 1 bedroom
yes.
situation that I live in.
Yep.
I got my toys there. My mom's is there. You know what I mean?
But
Like,
isn't this is what America is supposed to be? We're
yeah,
supposed to be exposed to those different things. And where are we
that's
now? That's a problem. I grew up the same way.
yeah.
I had a single parent mother
Uh-huh.
who single-handedly put me through boarding school,
Nice.
and that was through certain programs also that
Yeah.
afforded us the opportunity to, my grades were great. This is,
Yeah.
this is, okay, man, listen. Okay. So, these are the programs that have been taken away from us, where
Mm,
you're not just pulling random people out. My grades were incredible. So
hmm.
they sought me out. They said, this young man right here, he can do something. So you give him a scholarship, you give
Yeah.
him money, you help him financially to go through this boarding school. In
Yeah.
the midst of all that, you're meeting these people. My best friends were Korean. My
Yeah.
best friend was Chinese. My best friend now is Indian, a white
Yeah.
woman. You know what I mean? Because we learned this earlier. We don't
Yeah.
pass judgment. We learn about people and cultures and ethnicities and things. We learn these things. It
Absolutely.
makes your mind think about different things. And that's why I'm an artist. That's why you're an artist,
Yeah.
because you're more liberal in your thinking and you can somehow transform that into a story, into a visual story or musical story.
Yeah.
Or, we go back and we have the evolution and we have the history and all these
Yeah.
things. You put that down on paper, and that's why we are who we are. And
Yeah.
these are the things that are being taken away from us. Wouldn't it
Yeah.
be a better place if we could all still be in that place and have, take advantage of those situations to bring people together instead of pulling them apart?
Yeah. 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 I think the us having more in common as we have different is definitely
Yes,
loud.
sir.
It's ringing very loud.
Yes, sir.
Um, but I also think that the same way as we spend our time doing crafting and understanding the things that we get to, some villainous people in this world, you know
Yeah,
what I mean?
there
And they're
are.
putting in that same energy on how am I going to get mine to the fullest? How am I going to get it? I want mine.
Right. Me first.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Give me mine and y'all can do what y'all want to do. Um, That I'll say it like this is like I think people are who they are for a reason. Um, I think that we live in a world that is trying to be manipulative. The dopamine machine, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Always like on you, you know? But like the one thing I will say is we were in Jamaica last year and I remember being on the beach and it's nighttime, right? And I look out into the ocean and it is just darkness. You know what I mean? Like you
Mm-hmm.
can still see the horizon line because I think like the moon was out or something. I don't really remember how I was seeing a little bit of light. You could still see the separation between the water and the sky, but like looking out into that, it was just like, yo, you're this big, man.
Yeah, you
You
really are.
know,
It's humbling.
it's very humbling. And then like if you think about it in a present sense about how massive things are and then how small you are, you can also think about it in terms of time. Um, we have existed as humans for thousands of years, some, I don't know,
Tens of thousands.
10,000
Yeah.
years,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And our lifespan is this big. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
The time that we have in those thousands of years is very small. And so it's like you start thinking about like the life that we're living, the time that we have available to us, you know, it's like it's precious and it should be spent and used wisely. It's
Absolutely.
not an infinite resource. Eventually it taps out.
It sure
So
does.
do we spend our time moving in ways that are like detrimental to the time past us? You know, like I'm not going to jump on a soapbox, but there have been people who have done extremely detrimental things in relatively short periods of time. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then there's, you know, a way of thinking things where we can start to now think of aspects of time beyond our lifespan and how things are affected. Case in point, again, I'm not gonna go too deep into it, but like when you think about abortion rights, they have been trying to reverse that was an amendment or something. They were trying to reverse that law since it was announced. It was like,
The
okay, and
Roe versus Wade. Yeah.
uh-huh,
Mm-hmm.
and that was when in the 50s, something like this.
Yeah, like 60s. Something.
So since then, they were like, yeah, we need to get this flipped. It took them what, 60 years to do it, but they did it, right? And that
Right.
shows you just time frame that it's like, no, we're willing to keep this thing active beyond my life because the people that started it probably ain't even alive no more.
Correct.
But they're
Correct.
continuing this thing. The way we exist in this society has been developed by the other 9,999,000 years that happened before us. Um, that has put us where we are right now. And I'm starting to try to like, and this is not try to be too esoteric, but I'm starting to try to really unravel things to say like, if you put it in a nowadays sense, like bag fees when you're flying on a plane can be about $30, right?
Right.
We see that as a what it is, right? We don't question it. But that was invented though. So it was like before we had the Pan Am-ish situations, um, there was no TSA. You know what I mean? So there were no bag fees or nothing. You just brought your bag and put it on the plane.
Right. Exactly.
And so once they introduce the bag fee, it's kind of like we now accept this as what it is. We have, as a society, we are a conclusion of a bunch of decisions. A bunch of decisions have happened before us. Some dude decided we need to live in houses. We need to live in, you know what I mean? We need to drive cars. We need to have phones. All those things were made before we were born. So we were born into this world that we live in. Um, when you unravel certain things and ways of being or whatever, and then you realize like a lot of what I'm living with is what I accept. A lot of the life that I'm going after in my mind, I feel like I already have. So it's now I'm projecting. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's not only looking at this past present that we exist in, it's also where is this arrow going? You know what I mean? What am I aiming at? What is in my way? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I think it's like that relationship between time is like I think where bringing it back to a visual realization is that as the artist, we already have this understanding of what exists. And we've already put those things together. You know what I mean? Now
Right.
it's like I want to I want to push it too. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Of course. Of
It's like
course.
carrying the torch for the Olympics. You know what I mean?
Right.
It doesn't get to you and you just like, great. All right. You know what I mean? You light a cigarette. You know what I mean? Like this is
Exactly.
what
Nah.
the No,
Yeah.
you
You gotta
take
have
it and
some.
you go now. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So
Of
it's like
course.
that's kind of what I don't know. That's what I desire in the world of arts is like to be able to just keep that thing going, you know? So within teaching, you know, I love when kids get something. I love when somebody younger than me gets something. They're just like, oh, so that's how you did? This dude, one of the dudes in Jamaica while we were painting, I didn't even realize he had climbed the scaffold and was sitting like he was my chair behind me,
Oh,
you know?
wow. Yeah.
Like, but
Yeah.
he was just like, yeah, intense. He was just like, yeah, so this is how you, and it was just like, yeah, yeah, yeah. So this is what you do. Boom, boom, boom. So I know like he's gonna now take that and pass it forward and pass it forward and pass it forward and pass it forward.
I love that. I
And
love
it
that.
keeps it going. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's no point of knowledge if you don't share it. What is the absolute purpose of you knowing something if you don't tell somebody
That's
else?
right.
Right?
That's
You can
right.
see a house on fire and you just be like, damn, that's too bad for them. Or you could say, yo, your house is on fire.
Right. Yeah.
Get out.
Get out. I want to try something. I don't think I've done this before, tell them what's going to pop up, but we're going to try to take a look at some of your art here,
Oh,
if that's cool.
dangerous.
Um,
Hey, oh boy.
hey,
Wow, look at there. Look at
everybody get an exclusive here because
look
Marcos
at
Luis
that.
has never done this on the show before,
Look
but we
at
got to check out
this.
some of this art.
Here we are now.
What is it?
I'm talking about the art. That's what we're doing.
Yeah, I want people to take a look at your work because your work is incredible. What does this mean to you? Who is this and what is this?
So, okay. That was Jennifer Hudson playing Aretha Franklin for the movie Respect.
Yes,
So
it
some of the stuff
is.
that I'm putting up was like I did get to design this.
Mm-hmm.
So I designed the whole piece using imagery that they had kind of like gave me to kind of choose from.
Mm-hmm.
But they gave me a synopsis of the movie and all of those things, and I was like, oh, okay. And then there's like words and things that came and were stenciled on top of it. But it also was a what was it? Not who was it? Snapchat used to have that option where you could scan a QR code and then
Oh,
it makes it move. So it was anamorphic. Is that the word I'm looking for? What's the one where like you can see something and then through your phone it animates?
animated. Okay, I don't know what the word is, but I know what you're talking about.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. So that was one of those, but that definitely was for an ad space. So that was a job.
I love that. Beautiful,
Yeah.
bold colors, beautiful, beautiful
Yeah,
rendering.
yeah, yeah. Ironically, I wish we could like zoom in on like particular parts though, man, because it's like I started to spaz out on certain things. Like I was able to design this one as well. This was the same wall. We just painted over this to do the Jennifer Hudson.
Hmm.
Again, it's an ad space. So
What does
like,
this mean to you to see all this work? This is like incredible stuff. You're doing this in Harlem, you're doing it in the Bronx,
yeah,
you're doing it in Brooklyn, you're doing it all over New York in
yeah,
different cities.
yeah. Yeah. It's funny because like it's humbling at times. You know what I mean? You
Hmm.
have to remain humble. Because it's like I also live in a very capitalistic society. I also live in New York City. So it's like it's dope. You know what's the dope shit for me, man?
Tell me.
I'm gonna
Let
tell
us
you what's
know. Let
really
us
dope.
know.
I'm gonna tell you what's really dope. We had there was a gallery showing in Studio 6 in Manhattan, and it was for Kurt Boone's book that he had just put out, the Aerosol Kings or something like this. Mind you, I'm in the book, right? So we had an art show and we had paintings and stuff on the wall. And we were wait, what was my I had one point about this one in particular. Oh, this dude, I don't know this dude from anybody, from Adam, right? Maybe I do actually. Let me take that back because I don't want him to see this and be like, "You don't remember me?" But I couldn't immediately recall my man in my head when I saw him. And but he handed me his black book. And I don't know, like in the world of graffiti, for somebody to hand you their black book because they want you in their book is an honor. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
kind of like in a way, like they want your autograph in a way,
right.
you know? And it was just like, oh, okay, that's dope. You know what I mean? That feels like I'm actually doing something to the people that know this, you know?
A little confirmation of.
A, a little bit, because the people they're comrades, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like when you get it from your
Yep.
comrade, it means something.
Yeah, of course.
It's like, oh, you get this. You
Yep.
know what's happening right now. When you get accolades from other artists that are just like, yo, when my man Dre, who's a fantastic artist, calls me up and was just like, yo, I need help and you call me, oh my God,
Yep.
man. The imposter syndrome is real though.
Excuse me.
I've been in so many rooms that I was just like, when they gonna ask me to leave? Hmm. I
It's the
don't
best
think.
feeling when you know you're an artist.
Yeah,
When you have that feeling, that's it.
yeah,
That's it.
yeah. Because
Yep.
it's also that feeling of like when I see B-boys and I see DJs and I see just anybody else that's like really into what they do, I love that because I'm
Yep.
just
Me
like
too.
it pours through. When I eat food at Cheryl's, um, I feel it
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
they care about what they're doing back there. It
Exactly. Yep.
it feels like it. So when I nourish myself, I'm bringing that into me. You know what I mean? Um, yeah, that
That
feeling,
feeling. Yeah. Yep. When
that
you're
feeling.
validated by another artist in that way, and I enjoy watching artists when they're passionate about what they do. That's what gets me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
click through here because I want people to see a couple more, and then
Mm,
we got to wrap it up. But I do want to invite you back, talk
mm.
some more.
Yeah, this was a good one. That was in Manhattan near the library.
Some beautiful
Yeah,
pieces.
this is in Eden, North Carolina. That one was in Bed-Stuy for the longest time. His brother had a record release.
Love it.
There's a video for that one. Yeah, that was Ruva out in Williamsburg. Yeah, that was a good time because it was like the Black Man Day.
The Black
Uh,
Man Day.
yeah, Black Man. This was at this spot in Flatbush, right on their gate next to this coffee shop that they have like a bunch of just unruly kids.
Look at the
Um,
expression on the face. Love
yeah,
that. Love
yeah.
that.
Now, mind you though, now I'm using references for most of this stuff. I'm not going to say like I'm this is all coming out of my head,
Hmm.
but by no means. I do take liberties though, you know what I mean? So
Right.
there's like I'm adjusting this here, affecting this here, accenting this, accenting that. But it's it's ultimately what I'm trying to really like explore is the painting aspects of it. You know, like a million people can see the same image, but they're not going to paint it the same.
That's right. Goes back to what we were talking about before, artist interpretation.
Yeah,
I think I want to leave them with that.
yeah,
Um, Listen, incredible.
brother.
We'll do it. Let me tell you. Okay, so we're doing it backwards today. So I want you to tell them who you are and how they can get in touch with you. We're doing
Right.
the show backwards because we started out, we just rolled right into the conversation. But
Yeah.
the way I normally do it, I introduce them at the top of the show and then we go. So we're doing it backwards today.
Okay, yes, the first shall be last and the last shall
That's
be first.
right. Got to
So
mix it up, you know?
you got to, man. You gotta like, if they want to stick around, then they'll be like, "Who is this dude?" You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, I like what they was talking about, but I don't know who I'm talking to.
That's right.
So name Vince Ballentine. You can find me at vballentine.com. That is VBALLENTINE.com. And the same thing is my Instagram at vballentine99. I'm not really doing too many other platforms right now. I wish I could completely disconnect, but you got to play the game.
Right.
So
business. It's a business. You got to use it as a business.
it is. I miss the days of like going out and putting up flyers, though, man.
Right. There's
Like
a lot
flyers
different now.
Oh my God. Because then like you were also like with the people,
Yeah.
you was in it. Now everything is like, you'll never have to leave home.
That's right. Yeah.
You can do the whole thing from home.
That's it.
Who wants that? I mean, on snow days, I'll take a snow day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, everybody, please make sure you follow him. Go to the website, vballentine.com. IG is vballentine99.
99.
It's been a pleasure to have you here. Thank you. Please come back because we can chop it up, not just about art, because I know we got a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
So please come back to the show. My name is Marcos Luis, Marcosluis. The show is OneMicNite, ONEMICNITE. We are in season 7. Once again, we're coming up on 20 years of OneMicNite. Look out for the big 20-year anniversary coming up in July. Everybody's going to be running through. Maritri's going to be there. Everybody, all the people that have come through OneMicNite in the last 20 years. So look out for that. I'm also on stage this weekend. I'll be at the Tank on 35th Street in Manhattan with a one-time performance. So if you see this episode before, check it out. Otherwise, make sure you follow OneMicNite to keep up on the episode. Thank you for joining me. Like, share, and follow. We'll see you next time on OneMicNite.